Good Tuesday morning, everybody. What time is it? Well, I'm not really wanting you to look at the hands of the watch and to tell me what time it is, but we can tell time with a watch like this. Now, this watch is an old watch of mine that was a pretty expensive watch. It's a Tag Heuer, and I bought this watch. And you know what? That watch didn't tell time any better than this watch. This Timex, which is a wind-up Timex that I use when I'm bow hunting. And I don't have, I use this green watch in it because it's lightweight, but it costs so much less than this watch. But they tell time just alike. So why am I telling you about those watches, about time? Why am I even bringing that up? Well, one of the smartest men ever, I guess the wisest man ever, Solomon, he wrote these words in Ecclesiastes. He said, "There is a time for every matter under heaven." A time for every matter under heaven. Now, the problem with this time is that we don't set the time for everything and every matter under heaven. God does, because he's sovereign, he's omniscient, he's omnipresent, and he's omnipotent. And he sets everything in motion, and he puts everything in place, and it's going to happen during his time. Now, we've went through a couple of hard things over the last couple of weeks. One of our good friends, Robin Riggins and Steve Riggins, Robin came and did the music for us in our revival that we had last year. And her son and his girlfriend were killed in an accident, an auto accident, well before their time. My time, Robin's time, Steve's time, would not have been for them to be taken out. My father-in-law, Clay, he had a heart attack on Thursday evening. We had just talked with him. He and I had just went and got his birthday present earlier that week, and we had been talking and riding together for hours, and I didn't think that it was time for a heart attack. But you know, when we start trying to figure out the time, it gets really difficult because God's timing is different than my timing. The prophet Jeremiah said in the first chapter of his prophecy, God was talking to him, and he said, "Before you were ever formed in your mother's womb, before you were ever thought of, I had a plan for you. I had a time for you. I knew what you were going to do, when you were going to do it, and how you were going to do it." Now, the problem is God has a plan, and his plan is perfect. But the timing for that plan for each of us, it matters if we trust him or not, right? But do we trust God's timing, his plans? Do we seek answers from someone else, someplace else, some other person, some other information source? Or do we trust God's timing when it happens? Or do we try to make it happen in our own time and delay what is going on or hasten what is going on? But do we doubt his goodness? Do we misunderstand events because we think that's not the right time? Well, you know, Jeremiah went on to tell us later in his prophecy in chapter 29, verse 11, a very familiar passage of scripture. He said this, he said that I have a plan for you. I have a time for you. And that plan is to give you a hope. It's not for disaster. It's not for that tragedy. It's not for the hardship in your life. It's a plan. I have a plan for you, and that is a hope, an eternal hope for your success, to make things right for you. And so God's timing, even though things happen and we don't understand what he's doing in that timing, his timing is perfect. So what are we supposed to do? Well, Solomon wrote in another book that Book of Wisdom, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. We know this verse backwards and forwards, but it says what? It says, trust God's timing. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding of time. Acknowledge him in the events, even in the events that we don't agree with God's timing on. Trust God. Acknowledge him in it. And he's going to direct us into a better future. I was reading something that went along with this, and it was an author. His name is J.J. Lynch. And he wrote these words, and I think they pretty much sum up today's thought in this high note. It says that God's wisdom is sublime. His heart profoundly kind. God never is before his time and never is behind. Think on that today. I hope you have a good day.